Oh, from
Alexis.
oh, that said that the chancellor is coming at 10:30.
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna do the go around in for the district ahead of time. Like we're
Yeah.
gonna start with that. Okay, this is now gonna become live.
I'm not talking. Did you send it?
Jimmy, are you talking to me?
I said, did you send it? Cody already had called me, text me the one time she didn't receive the link. You know she wants to get on there to yell she's the president
Okay,
of President Council.
Jimmy, you know we are live on YouTube, right?
Oh no, no talk from me.
But yeah, I just got a message from Marta giving me the information about uh, the election on the Manhattan High School.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Hey, Shirley.
Good morning, Martha.
Good morning, Jimmy. I'm gonna go to my just another screen. I'm gonna turn off my picture and just go to another screen. I got
Yes.
some, I got some work to do.
Yeah.
God, look how cute we were. Please.
That's adorable.
That's me and my sister. I'm actually gonna have to change it because it makes me really sad. Look how sad my sister looks. She was really sad. She had a very hard time as a kid.
Yeah.
And I was just an idiot. I was just like a puppy. Look at me. I'm like, do, do, do.
You live, you know.
I know. I'm turning it off.
Martha, you have changed.
I couldn't stand that picture. It made me sad to see me
So
and my
you change it to
sister.
a cat, to a sad cat?
Yeah, that's my cat. No, he's not sad. He's just unbelievably stupid. There's just nothing behind
Hey,
that
stop insulting him, okay?
beautiful face. It's like blank. He's got no brain. I think he has like some kind of, yeah, he's brain damaged. He's very good looking.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You that hot already? Don't forget to put your district. How are the children this morning?
I'm always hot, Jimmy. We're all good. How about you?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Yes, I will.
Good morning, everyone.
Hi, everybody. We're going to start the meeting in like a couple of minutes.
Good morning, Marco, everyone.
Hey, Francis, I was just wondering who was 2026 Gonzalez and said,
Oh,
like, who was,
My son's name is Xavier Gonzalez.
oh, I thought it was running in 6 years, running for president or something.
You like my office at the back? It looks nice, right?
Yes, it does. I like it.
Okay, let's just give it like 2 minutes to let people join. Then we're going to start.
Good morning, Marco.
Hey, Andrea, how are you?
I'm good. Hi, everyone. Margo, I put what district I'm from in the chat because I forgot to put it on my name thing when I came
So
in.
rename yourself.
Yeah, don't worry, Andrea. I can rename you, or you can rename yourself.
Okay. I just did it.
Brilliant, and I should do the same. Then we're gonna start. All right. Good morning, everybody. Let's start with roll call. To get attendance, we're gonna update it anyway throughout the meetings. I'm sure a few people will join later. So District 1 is me, and I'm here. I see you, Leonard.
Yeah.
Leonard, District 2. How are you?
Good, nice to see everyone.
Jimmy, District 3. I think I saw Rashida. Yeah, District
I'm here.
4. I don't see Jacqueline from District 5 yet. Nor I see Argueda from District 6. And I don't see Danielle from District 7. Is Lourdes here? Not yet.
Not yet.
Doleta from District 9. Not yet. And Richard from District 10. I don't see Miriam.
Good morning, Marco.
From,
Good morning, everyone.
hello, Cecilia.
Hey, Marco, I sent you an email asking about.
Wait a second. Wait a
yesterday.
second. Let me finish the roll call.
Sorry.
I don't see no worries. Doris from 12. I don't see her yet. Celia 13. I don't see her either. District 14. Yatswell. No. I don't see Katea. I saw her last night, but I don't see her today. Janice, Something District 16, not here. Veronica, 17. Abby from 18. Sherry from District 19. Janine from 20. I don't see her yet. I see you, Randy. How are you? District 21.
Marco, how are you?
Good. And I think I saw Sabina, yes, from District 22.
Good morning.
Here. Hi, good morning. I don't see Tanya yet from 23. I do see Mati from 24. And I did see Francis from 25. Cecilia from District 26 is not here yet. And I see Maribel from 27. Jessica from 28 is here. Sherry 29 is here. I don't see Alyssa from 30. Edwina from 31. Jazzy, are you here? I don't see you from District 32. Not yet. Andrea, how are you doing?
I'm
I
here.
saw you already.
Yeah.
Yeah. From 75, I see Cecilia from Brooklyn High Schools. I don't see Stacy from Bronx High Schools. Manhattan High School had an election, so Jackie Cody is here from Manhattan High Schools, and I see her. And Shirley from Queens High School is here. I don't see Aaron from Staten Island High School. And I see you, Cecilia, you joined in the meantime from 26.
Yes, hi, Marco. Hi, everyone.
Hello. Okay, and Marie, our parliamentarian, is here. Oh, and I see Janine for 20.
Morning,
you
everyone.
tricked me.
Yep. Trick or treat.
as well as Lourdes just joined in the meantime. And should I miss somebody that will join in the next few minutes? Is okay. I'll figure it out. I'll get people as they go, and if anything, send me a message in the chat. I mean, if you think you might not have been added, Jacqueline Ruiz, in fact, just joined. Okay, so today we were originally thinking that we'll have the Chancellor at 10, but it appears that it's actually going to be coming at 10:30. So we're going to switch the agenda around a little bit.
Okay.
We wanted to have towards the end of the meeting go around of districts, allowing district to give like a 1-minute update. Of like what's going on, whatever you think is worthwhile mentioning. Let's keep it short because there is a lot of us and we don't really want to spend the entire meeting on this, but it's good to get a short update on like what's going on. And if you feel your district have nothing special to be noticed, you can even just say like, you know what, we're doing our regular stuff. There is nothing fancy or nothing interesting that I have to share at this time, and that's also okay. But I see Francis raised her hand, so if you had something that you need to say, Francis.
Okay, so I'm good morning, everyone. I think our district 25 is doing very well.
Oh, okay.
Our PTAs, you know, and in the midst of all this pandemic, we're supporting each other. We're supporting our PTAs and helping them with their elections. Members of the President's Council have been helping with the elections and hosting them. I know I did about 6, and I know there's been more done from the other members as well. So we are, you know, helping our district, and the schools so far seem to be, you know, moving along. So that's my update.
Cool, thank you, Francis. I was actually going to go in order, but it's good that you broke you broke the order. It's perfectly fine. Let's go random then. Who's next? Go ahead, Janine.
Good morning. Yeah, 2 things. District 20, like we're doing fine as far as elections go. And this week we had a couple. My concern is that a president from one of my schools has sent a letter to Christian that I am not doing my job. And the President's Council is not having a meeting. So I wrote a letter to to Christian, but I wanted to let CPAC
Who's
know.
Christian? Sorry.
Christian Marbury from FACE.
Okay, is your district?
My district liaison, yes.
Okay.
So I have a concern because we're supposed, the whole idea was we can't have elections without having President's Council election without having to know all schools have had elections. So I just want some advisement on what to do.
Okay, maybe we could, if we have time, maybe at the end we can.
Thank
we
you.
can.
Otherwise, we're all good. Otherwise, we're fine.
Cool. Leonard, you raised your
I'm
hand.
not, right, exactly. Thank you.
Sure. So good morning, everyone. So to make things fairly quickly, so the parents in my district in particular are very upset because they've had absolutely no guidance in terms of admissions for middle school, for high school. They have had no guidance for G&T testing. They've had no guidance for the SHSAT, and they feel, quite frankly, that the Department of Education's let them down or is trying to run out the clock on a couple of these initiatives. So their parents are very frustrated. I think on a district level, people are also upset because I know, for example, at my son's high school, which lies within the district, he was switched from, involuntarily switched. The school went, that's Baruch High School, went completely from blended learning to remote learning. He had no choice in the matter. Parents are frustrated. They want to know why everything is limited in terms of the amount of time spent in school. They want to know what their kids are going to do for next year. They want to know, they want to have more guidance on, I know something just came out recently about a grading policy, but there's been, on the bigger issues, there's been a lack of communication with the Department of Education, and that's a big concern in our district.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Leonard. Who else wants to go? I can go while other people go. So District 1, I think we this is actually a shout out to our FLC actually. I think today all election will be done. Like today there are 2 PAs, I think, that are left. Every other PA in our district have done elections, which is, I think is, I mean, we are a small district, so we have, it was easier than others, particularly than high schools. but we're gonna have all elections done today, as of today. So that's impressive.
That's great.
Yeah, and I see Cecilia raise her hand in the meantime. So go ahead, Cecilia.
So our parents are extremely sad right now. Elections and all that went really well, but Monday reached a very different level of trust, and our parents think that it's extremely unacceptable to have broken yet another promise the chancellor made. Everyone's complaining about that. He promised our kids, our families, that they were going to have several opportunities throughout the year to choose to go into remote. I'm not saying that that's what he should have promised, but he did. He promised that we were going to have enough teachers. We don't have enough teachers. He promised we were going to have a certain start date. He failed. He promised that the blended kids were going to have live instruction the remote days. He broke the promise as well. And there are kids that go to school because they felt safe to go into like the buildings, and they only go to school to be in front of a screen. And Monday, having had those like opportunities to just one, and the timing also to just let people choose in November when many people are not sure and don't feel safe yet because we are expecting another wave, and obviously no one knows what's going to happen. But the last minute announcement and pushing people to maybe decide something they're not ready to do and may not be safe for certain families that have people higher risk is unacceptable. And it's cruel to the kids because these kids had hope that at some point in the year we're going to be able to go in person. And maybe we can't go, but we don't know yet. And for him to, and I understand that it's hard to plan, and administrators have to work really hard in planning. But he made a promise, and he made many promises, and breaking this one, like, it's just a different level. It's unacceptable and it's cruel. So that's how our parents feel. And I would really love to say that today, if possible.
Well, I'm sure this will be an issue that will be raised today with directly with the chancellor.
It sure will.
I guess Jackie.
Good morning, everyone. I totally agree with Cecilia, and I'm glad she raised it. But as far as Manhattan high schools, we're good to go. And I don't think there are any schools, but I will find out soon, that did not have their elections. But for the most part, most of the schools did. And we're looking to strengthen communication, not only with among our President's Council and our schools, but with Central and with the district. We want to strengthen communication. Not that it's bad, but there's nothing wrong with strengthening it. And in addition, I just want to throw out something that we can look into. Not all districts are as fortunate as some of the districts that spoke up. There are some districts that have a lot of schools struggling to get their PA and PTAs together. And I really think that we should use our positions here in CPAC to really help one another and help the schools buddy up or connect and help every PA or PTA in every school throughout the city make sure that they're functioning and functioning well. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Sabina?
Good morning. So our district echoes a lot of what was said. We also have the concerns about middle school and high school admissions, what the plan is, what's going on, and exactly what Cecilia had said. I echo everything that she said. But in terms of what our district has been doing, our district immediately put out, different schools did tech workshops for parents. They have tech support lines for parents to be able to text and get a response in the language of preference, so they could get tech assistance with how to run Google Classrooms and Zoom and all of that. Materials were translated into necessary languages. We have daily check-ins with the PAs. We have weekly check-ins with the FLCs, and we have monthly check-ins with the superintendent. And those can be more frequent as needed. We certainly check in, President's Council checks in with the superintendent weekly, or also as needed whenever something comes up. Our PAs have been working tirelessly with President's Council, who's been assisting with all of the PA elections, as well as the FLCs coming in and assisting. We were hoping for a waiver, but since we couldn't wait until the last minute, we all kind of jumped in and did what we needed to do. So District 22 is really stepping up and doing way more than is expected. So a big shout out to all of my PAs and PTAs. So yeah.
Thank you, Sabina. And Mati had posted in the chat that she couldn't raise her hand, so we count as if she raised her hand. Go
Hi.
ahead,
Yes.
Mati.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I do, again, echo what Cecilia said. There is a huge, that's actually one of the biggest things that is happening within our district is parent discontent and parent distrust regarding DOE kind of pushing things, saying the one thing and then kind of doing at the last minute a totally different thing for whatever the reasons may be. That's pretty much how parents feel. That's number one. Number two, regarding our elections, we're trekking along. Obviously, not all of them are done. I mean, I have schools that have 3,000 students for whom we have seen that there is probably a huge equity issue regarding even elections. So regarding, I know we were asking before for some kind of a waiver in terms of kind of prolonging the process, or until December, until the end of December. We're still looking for that because, again, some of our schools are really big, and we have seen the inequity in terms of even our elections, with how we've had to exclude, how parents have felt excluded. We need that waiver. So, but otherwise we're kind of helping each other. We're trekking along. Some of them have been done. Our smaller schools are getting done a lot easier, but the bigger schools are having a lot of problems.
Great, thank you, Mati. Rashida.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you. District 4 in East Harlem has completed the schools. We have a lot of schools that have actually completed their elections, and we have all of the remaining schools who did not complete their elections scheduled. So we have dates for all of the elections, and we have a FLC working with them to help them out with the offer from President's Council. Like, we didn't have to step in yet, but we're continuously offering our assistance. But all of them are scheduled, and that's a good thing. We still need some devices for some families, but we're working with them and communicating with them, and they're still able, it's not that they don't have devices, but they're not the best working devices, right? So we're working on that. It's a very small amount. And, we still need staff. We still need about 300 staff members, teachers, maybe about 100 in person. And overall, our district is about 41% in-person learning. So that's, less than half of our families actually going in. I don't know how that'll change now with the now or never threat that just came out, but yeah, but we're good with the elections, which is really exciting. We really need to push our families to activate their children's DOE email accounts. Like, everyone thinks they have it and everyone thinks they did it until they have to actually use it. They realize it's not properly activated and set up. So we really have to push that. Like, our children need to be able to access those DOE email accounts so they can get all the benefits that come with it. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Rashida. Shirley.
Hello, good morning. As far as Queens High Schools, we had 5 schools that were closed because they were in a hot zone, but they are reopened now. And our elections are going well. President's Council are helping when needed. And everybody is scheduled. Most of them, if they're not done by the 31st, the first week of November.
Brilliant. Wow. Randy.
Sorry, just trying to unmute myself. Okay, so District 21 has 95% of the elections completed. Huge shout out to my FLC and FSC. They've been working so hard to get this done. Our parents were stepping up into these volunteer roles during this time. It's, you know, a little confusing of what we can do and what we can't do, but they're willing to try. So huge shout out to parents. Parent coordinators and administrators in our schools have been absolutely amazing. They don't know how to do these things. We don't know how to do these things. We were just kind of like, you know, thrown into it, and the behind the scenes has been truly amazing. They work so hard. So huge shout out to all our administrative CSA and parent coordinators. Amazing, amazing. And especially while reopening schools and closing and reopening and all this information. So thank you so much to them. So during this time, it's a little, you know, this unprecedented time. We've been doing one-on-one Zooms. So we're taking advantage of this virtual world. And it's great where you can train your PAs online. You could actually show them, I keep a flash drive. I train them all to keep a flash drive. And we can actually get them on one-on-one. I share my screen. I show them, I share templates with them. So, I mean, as tough as it can be, we could always make it better and just move in a positive way. And it's been great. So thank you.
Right. Thank you. And Jessica, I think I mistakenly lowered your hand earlier, so you can go now.
Sure. So in District 28, I have to give a really big shout out to Shirley. Of the 35 schools, we have 9 left, but most of them are scheduled. But Shirley has been a rock star and a superstar with helping with all of the elections. So I really just have to give a shout out. The schools in the red zone seem to have reopened successfully. There are still some concerns in regards to the consent forms, but I think that the folks that have chosen for blended learning and having the schools reopened again, I think is quite a blessing. So, but I really just want to give, so everybody's aware, a really, really huge shout out to Shirley and our FLC for getting so many elections done in such a short amount of time.
Shirley, which is the Queen's representative, is also the co-president at District 28. That's just for those who don't know that. Maribel.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. So as far as District 27 and elections, we have about 20 of our 49 schools done. So I think we are going to need some more time. There are some scheduled for November 9th, some not scheduled as of yet. And then as far as the Chancellor, I want to say thank you for bringing that up. I agree, you know, that it was unfair that he made that change in the opt-in period.
Thank you, Maribel. Doleta.
Good morning. District 9, we have most of our elections already. We will be almost finished in the first week of November. We will have 8 remaining after that. The FLC has been a great help with us all. We are trying to make sure all the elections go through. My only little concern is FACE in certain schools is policing our elections. They are not helping out at all. They're just sitting there just watching us, even though a District 9 member did ask for help, but they was just listening in and then they jumped off, which was very disrespectful for us. And I just want to give a big shout out to my FLC, because with everything that's going on in my district, with the people that want to be pro Spanish only and pushing the Blacks out, my FLC is holding it down and she's working together with all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, District 3 has completed most of their elections, and the president and president council have been very helpful. The FLC have looked and guided us through a lot of things. So we're sitting pretty good, but we still have a couple more to go to complete for that. And they also complaining about the change in going back into the hybrid, like everyone else has spoken about.
Right. Francis, you raise your hand again. You have something to add, or?
Yes, I forgot to mention that our superintendent created, along with our FLC, created a parent chat. And so there are parents involved in the conversation for our district in coming up with concerns or, information about the blended learning, the remote learning, and just to get some feedback for our own district to see what needs to be changed. And our district as well is upset about, the choice only being in November. But I have to say, I'm pretty sure it's not just the chancellor, it's other people working with him. So I just want to be, sometimes it's not just one person making these decisions, but a group of people. So I just want to be fair in saying that. Thank you.
Thank you. Andrea.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak on behalf of District 75, give y'all an update. So I'm on the City Education Council for D75, and I'm the president of President's Council for D75. So on the CCD 75, right now we debating over a resolution that was written in regards to COVID-19 testing in the schools. Half of us agree and half of us disagree. And last week it was a whole big debate over this. And we're having a special meeting tonight about this again. So that's what's going on in reference to the City Council in D75. Now, President's Council, I'm gonna be hosting an election tonight to help one of my Bronx schools. Me and one of the City Education Council members are gonna be hosting that election. That's my first one I'm gonna be hosting because they reached out to me for help. So I'm gonna do that tonight. And as for the school elections in general in all the schools, I would say we got about half of our schools done. But I think we're going to need that waiver because even in my school, there was a fight just to get a PA date for the election. And now I locked the date in, but I had to really force hands here just to get it done. So it's crazy. And also the parents are upset about the fact that they can't choose, go about in regards to the hybrid learning. About what Cecilia said, District 75 echoes that as well. There's a lot of parents are upset over that and over COVID-19 random testing in the schools, which have not begun for all students yet, but may begin next week. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Andrea. So Cherie sent a message that she's in transit. She's going to find a place that is quiet and talk at that time. So I don't see any more hand raised. No, I see Celia hand raised now. Go ahead, Celia.
Good morning. Okay, so District 13, of course, everyone is upset about the same thing. So about the choice with the hybrid learning, or the lack of choice with the hybrid learning, depending on how you look at it. They're also not very pro the random testing, although they're pro testing, but not necessarily random testing, or more so not necessarily protesting because parents cannot necessarily be there with their kids when they're being tested. I think that's the issue that most people have in this district. And I would say for the PAs, it has been a mixed bag in elections because there's some of our PAs that have been really good. They used Election Runner. They had a system that for the phone, like when you get a phone survey, like you get the calls from the large companies and they say pick A, pick B, pick C. They were able to align that with the election they were doing. So nobody really had to know who was voting for who, and it worked out really well. And then there are other schools that have not done them yet. So it has sincerely been a mixed bag. Some schools have been really good at it, really fast.
had no problems. And there's some other schools that we're still trying to help.
Great. Thank you, Celia.
You're welcome.
Sherry.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So things, District 29, similar to everyone else, parents are not happy about the opt-in window only being one. Biggest issue is the communication. And I that all not but principals is like making a bad guy because of course parents get mad at the principals that the information is coming down and the changes. So I think communication continues to be a problem.
You're breaking up, Sherry. Sherry, maybe we'll give you the floor afterward. I'm gonna move to Miriam since we can now hear you anymore. Miriam, go ahead.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm going to start by first and foremost just applauding the CPAC board as a whole, like everyone who's a part of CPAC, all the school representatives, because you all guys, everyone is doing such an amazing job of keeping posted up to date with their schools within their district. This is a season where it's not have been easy, but you guys stand strive, and I love that even in if you guys could, and I know that some were reaching out to even help other districts outside of theirs, that if they could have, they would have been willing to do so. I also have to piggyback everyone who's applauding their FLCs, because Yvette Crespo in District 11 has been doing an amazing job in making sure that all our schools have their elections, and we're working hand in hand. Most of our schools elections are done, and if it's not done, they are definitely scheduled to do so with the help of both the FLC, President's Council, and I can't exclude the support, the awesome support that we at District 11 has had from FACE. So I just wanted to say, just give a shout out to all those people and just kind of like thank you for helping make this process for D11 as smooth as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Miriam. Lourdes, you're raising your physical hand instead of the virtual hand. Go ahead.
For some reason, my virtual hand is
Yeah,
not.
it looks like a couple of
anywhere.
people are having that problem. I don't know why.
Yeah. Okay, so good morning, everyone. District 8 wants to give first and foremost a shout out to the FLCs, FSCs, CPAC members, and parent coordinators who have been doing a great job at District 8 elections. So far, PAs and PTA elections have been done for 22 schools out of 36. There's some more scheduled for this coming week. I'm hoping that by the first week of November, we are done completely. President's Council will be then doing their elections on November 23rd at 6 p.m. Concerns in our district still, around the same issues that everyone else has just brought up. Grading policies, assessments, regions, testing, opt-in changes, etc. Where President's Councils together with the FLC and the FSC, we are having office hours to support our PAs and PTAs, especially those who are newly being elected, just to make sure that we get them in the right foot and we get them ready for a new amazing year. Pantries in District 8 have been around the district at every school. Every other week is a different school. So families throughout the district have been supported with meals, and these boxes have been amazing. Full gallons of milk, meat, fresh vegetables, etc., etc., etc. And of course, the lack of devices still, remains in our district, as well as hotspots and internet issues for our families. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Lourdes. I don't see any more hand raised. Oh no, let's see if Sherry can get back, or otherwise we'll have her district update somewhere in the meeting later on. maybe when she's not traveling. Or Andrea, go ahead. What?
Yeah, I just forgot to add one more thing. As me being a CCD 75 member on the council there, we also been doing virtual walkthroughs through Manhattan schools, so we could see how the social distancing is being done for the kids, whether they got PPEs and all this stuff available due to COVID-19 and how school is set up nowadays. And we also so Manhattan walkthroughs are until tomorrow, and then I think we're gonna start. They said Brooklyn and Bronx by next week, and then we're gonna do Queens and Staten Island last. So we're doing virtual walkthroughs where our CCD 75 president, he's there physically with the superintendent, and then I'm on the thing virtually seeing it, like me and a couple of members. So we've been doing that as well. Just make sure everybody has supplies in the schools, things like that. The social distancing protocols and busing protocols are being followed. That was the last update. I just failed to mention that earlier.
All right. Thank you, Andrea. I see in the chat there is D14 Jadswell that she's having problem with audio. So she's saying that D14, most of the school have done their election. 95% of the other will have it completed by Friday evening. Shout out to our FSC. She's awesome and working to make sure elections are getting done. Our parent concern is the testing. Who are the ones performing the testings? Are doctors, nurses, parents. They are also upset because they did not sign consent for DOE to collect student DNA and they feel their rights are being violated. Parents are upset about grading policy and the opt-in option. That's from District 14. And Veronica, go ahead.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here. And I just want to give an update on 17. Well, we are working on all of our elections. Maybe 80% is done. And, we're still working on the elections, and hopefully that we can get it done at the end of the month. If not, definitely it will be the first week in November. So my FLC, and I must give a shout out to them, working really good and collaborating with everyone. Also support from Ms. Carter from Central. I want to say thank you to everyone who is there. We just collaborating and working with every school. Sometimes we get in a little hiccup having parents just step up to that role, but most of it before the end of the meeting, they decided to step up. So, and like a parent just said, still having problem, not really with the device, the actual device, but internet service is kind of horrible in 17. And I also continue to give out groceries to the district and working with them, personal care and whatever. So I want to thank you all. And to my colleagues, I want to thank you for continue doing the great work.
Great.
Bye.
Cecilia. Yeah, thank you, Veronica. Sorry, I interrupted you. Cecilia, Brooklyn High Schools. I see you, Lourdes. Don't need to keep the hand raised, just after.
I just want to quickly give an update. We had our first meeting and the turnout was better than in previous meetings. This virtual thing seems to be benefiting us on the attendance. And I intentionally pushed our meeting to the very end of October to accommodate the schools, the PA, PTAs with the elections. So we could include more new PA presidents. The thing is, including the old PA president doesn't seem to be very equitable for everyone. But I'm hearing a lot of, I'm getting contradictory reports. Some people are saying that the election status out there are not that good, but I guess that the FLCs are pushing it. And I got a report, Brooklyn North, out of 47 high schools, 40 finished their elections. But I'm waiting on the other, I have like 160 schools, so I don't know the status of the other ones. The thing is, high schools are being divided into all these little like affinity schools, and they're all under different FLCs, so it's very hard to get the status. But I'm actually going to push it until November, the election, just to include more people because of what I heard. I received I have been sending out information about getting the Zoom, getting the DOE email account activated. I got a few requests asking for help, and I tried to push them. With the FLCs, I know they are going crazy. Miss Tamika Nurse Carter reached out to me and asked me about my mailing list. I'm just using I explained to her I was using the mailing list from last year because that's the only one I have. They didn't update me on, and I understand that because the election's not done yet. Getting my own experience with my school and the Brooklyn High School President's Council account, and also helping the PAs activating their accounts is a hit or miss. Sometimes it takes a while for people to respond. And I took Deputy Chancellor Austin's advice last time. I attended some meeting. I attend so many meetings, I don't even remember which one she said that to CC her. And that worked like magic. People responded to me so quick. So everyone should just CC her on every single email, and then you'll get results. She doesn't need to look at those emails. Her name just needs to be on it. So whatever works, right? But I yesterday happened to be at the CCHS meeting, and I mentioned randomly that the switching of only allowing parents to pick one and the window so narrow to decide for the rest of the year is unfair. And I'm hoping that everyone is going to jump on the bandwagon and let the chancellor know that this is broken promise. And I attended a meeting, I forgot which one it is. There was a very upset parent who said she can't trust DOE, and I can't remember which representative from DOE, and she said, you put your most valuable asset, which is your child, into a DOE school every single day. And if you can't trust, how could you put your child into something that you can't trust? The thing is, it's not that we don't trust them, that they're going to harm our children that physically or hopefully mentally. But the thing is, all these, I think what she meant is all these things that the DOE is telling us, and then we need to trust. I don't even want to call them promises. I don't know what to call them. Then they just change it on us. And then I told them that all these quick decisions and keep changing the facts, and tomorrow will be some other things that is totally new to us. And I do not think that the DOE involves the parents on all these decisions either. So it surprises. That's all I have right now.
All right, thank you, Cecilia. And Lourdes, you raised your hand, right?
Just one last thing I forgot. November 9 at 6:30, CEC 8 will be having their town hall with the Chancellor.
Oh, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing no hands raised, I'm gonna give the floor one moment to Marta, our second vice president of CPAC.
Hi,
Second vice chair,
everybody.
sorry.
Yes, second something. Hi, everybody. It's great to see you. I just want to take a minute to let you know that I'm stepping down from my position as second vice chair for CPAC and all of my other parent volunteer positions because I've accepted a consulting position with FACE to work on the 2021 CEC elections. Some of you may remember me doing this before. This is the third time my third election, and actually this time is particularly exciting. You may not know that the ECC, who are our counterpart at the CEC, they lobbied for changes to state law that they got that make these elections much more inclusive. So now all parents and guardians of New York City public school children will be voting for their CEC reps. And they also expanded the eligibility for both candidates and voters for CC, for their citywide council. So our neediest communities now have a much better chance of increased participation and really high functioning councils. So we're looking for the support of presidents' councils and parent leaders, and there'll be a flyer and a website coming online and a much more simple application and voting system. So I'm hoping that I will see you again in a different capacity, but I just want to say, like, this year, it's been a year like no other. I mean, we have had hardships and personal losses, but we all came together at council like we never have before. And I've gotten to know all of you, and we've gotten to work together in ways that just weren't possible when we were just like once a month milling around at Tweed. So my wish for CPAC is that you guys continue to build on this momentum. Keep building those relationships, being honest with FACE and the Chancellor, and then really, function as highly as we can as an advisory council for the Chancellor. So good luck, everybody. And I'm really, really honored and grateful for the time that you've given me and the work that we've done together. So I'm signing off, going onto YouTube. I love you all.
Just 1 second, Martha. First of all, thank you. And I actually have a question, very practical question. Can you still serve in the nominating committee for our elections or not?
I might, I don't know. I would have to check with FACE. I just think it's better.
Well, it's not really FACE,
back.
actually. We are the one concerned with conflict of interest, right? Not FACE.
Okay. All right. So if everyone's happy with me doing that, I think
I don't know. I was just wondering. I don't know either. We should think about it.
For me, it's more of a matter of perception. I don't want people to think like,
no, right. You're right. Actually, probably not.
Right. She's using her position to like.
That's right. No. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Great.
But I mean, I want to be, I will be around for sure. And I'm here to help in whatever little things I know over the last 12 years. I'm happy to share it. And I'm going to miss everybody. And I wish you all just to keep this up, keep it up, because this has been a great fellowship. It's been
Thank you, Martha.
Thank you.
Leonard, you were talking about this or something else?
Yeah, no, I just want to thank Martha. Martha, ever since I first met you, your comments, your contributions, I mean, you're just amazing. And quite frankly, I don't think you should go. I think we're going to keep you here. I think we need you here.
We got her fired.
You tell them great opportunity, but we're more important. We're your family, and that's it. So
you are, and I am here. I just, I'm here. I'm always available for advice, and you will see me next year. But thank you, Leonard. Thank you, everybody. Bless you all.
Right. Thank you, Martha. All right. Great. Now, I think probably, Adrienne, if you want, you could start going. I think at 10:30, the Chancellor will join us. If you are not done, you can then continue after him, maybe, if you want. Otherwise, we can address some business issue while we wait for the time the Chancellor join us.
Hey, Marco. Hey, CPAC. Good morning. Why don't you do the business? I'm kind of multitasking at the moment. If you can.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. That's great. Okay, that's great.
Thanks.
So maybe Marie can give us like a 2 minutes update on what's the status of bylaws and what's the plan, just to remind everybody what we are doing. We are working on revising the bylaws. We had a few meetings. Okay, now you do it, Marie. I'm giving it.
I was not actually planning on it, but it'll be very brief.
Yeah.
As we mentioned before in the past couple of weeks, we are in the process of revising, reviewing, and amending our bylaws. Although the bylaws committee have met, we've also met with just the voting members. for their input. And it looks like it's going to take us a minute. And we're hoping to actually reconvene to continue reviewing them, revising, amending them, because they all meant three separate things. So it is in that process, and we're hoping to be able to finalize it as of next month. So stay tuned and we'll see what happens.
Great. Thank you, Marie. We also have two minutes that we will need to approve, but these minutes have not been sent to you yet. I mean, one actually has, not directly from CPAC, Marie sent it. So we realized that the meeting for March, right before, that was like pretty much like the day before the pandemic started, we had never approved the minutes. And then we have the minutes. So we will need to do that at some point. And then we have the minutes from last meeting, although we have not sent you those minutes yet. That's my mistake. So we cannot adopt them right now. What other business did we have to address? Okay, no answers. I guess there was no other business. Then let me give you a quick update of CPAC. So last night there was a meeting organized by the Brooklyn Borough President and Randy from District 21, Jazzy from District 32, and Cecilia from Brooklyn High Schools, and I went and had a short presentation on, we were asked to basically have a short presentation about communication with parents, like PA and PTA communication with parents. I don't know if anyone that was there last night want to have a few comments or I don't see any hand raised. So then I'm going to tell you one comment that I have. So during the discussion, so the discussion was about how PAs and PTAs communicate with their parents, right? So how do you raise the voice of your PAs to the schools, and how do you bring the information that the parents need from the school or from the DOE to your parent body? But talking about that, we were talking about trainings and all that, and there certainly been a number of trainings, and obviously more will be great. But one idea that emerged was, what if we at CPAC create a training for principals or for DOE staff to understand, because one thing that I hear often from parents is like, my principal or my school doesn't understand how the PA operates. And this is not from everybody, because, for example, I think at my school that's not true, but it is something that I hear from many people. So what if we were to create a training or like a document of some sort to support in that way, maybe collaborate with FACE or with somebody, and generate a comment that basically coming from us will be different than a more official document with like, this is, it will be, I don't know, it could be helpful. I don't know how you guys feel about that. And I see Lourdes' face. Sylvia.
Good morning. I agree with you. It would be helpful, because I think if you train, like the parent leaders here, everyone's trained and has an idea of what the PA does and how it functions. And obviously not the same with the principals, but they have a lot of things they're doing too. So I get it. But I do think one thing that would help is not necessarily just us. I think for the principals to listen to it, people tend to listen to their supervisors more than they do to their workers, so to speak. So I do think it would help to collaborate maybe with some of the superintendents when they have those monthly principal meetings, and maybe be able to present something, a short little something on, PA, PTA protocol in terms of what the principal can and can't do, or what they should know, or ways they can assist us and ways that they should not be. So I think
that's a brilliant idea.
I think that would make them listen a lot more than just, and I do agree with having one pager, but I just think that would make them listen a lot more to what is said, because it was said, with the approval, so to speak, of the superintendents for which they work, so to speak.
Right. That's a great idea, Celia.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, District 1, I go to you, Cecilia, just in a moment. In fact, District 1, this is related to the CC, but had a couple of joint meetings or part of the joint meeting principal with the CC members, and it significantly improved the connection and the reciprocal understanding of what the job entails, from but from the principal to understand more what the CC job means, and from the CC also to understand better what being a principal means. So to do something similar from a PA, PTAs, or from a president and council perspective would be an amazing idea.
Yeah, definitely would be a boon. And maybe also in that same meeting, present structure, because a lot of principals do not, if you're a PA president and you're new to PA, you've never been in PA before, you may not know there's a president's council. There's a good chance that you might not know there's a president's council because your principal didn't know, or your PCs usually know, but your school may not have a PC. So
it's just not the most important thing that they're gonna talk to you about it necessarily.
Right.
They don't.
So, right. So I know that the FLCs and the FSCs tell them get your elections done. Get whoever to do your PA elections. So they concentrate on that, but not necessarily on the other aspects, or not necessarily telling parents to move forward with the other things that they need to do. So.
Cool. Right. Thank you, Celia. And
you're welcome. Thank you.
Cecilia? Why are you guys always going together?
That is true. We think alike. I'm thinking, like, instead of a document, because I just feel that everyone, including principals, have so many paperwork coming in, so many things to read. How about like a short video? Like I think it may come across a long way, like in a positive way.
Cool. That's also a great idea. Maybe we can combine both ideas. Very cool.
Yeah, working with superintendents would be great.
Yeah. So that's something that we can maybe have a little subgroup work on it in the next months and figure out from there.
Marco, Chancellor's here.
Oh, is it? Okay. I don't see you, Chancellor, but please unmute yourself and take it away if you hear me.
Hi, everybody.
There you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you. So good afternoon. It's a pleasure to join you all this morning. I know it's tough because if you're anything like me, you're back-to-back meetings on Zoom. But it's a pleasure to be here. So what I'd like to do is share just some recent updates with you, and then as usual, we'll do some Q&A. So we recently shared the 2021 grading policy with principals and superintendents earlier this week, and asked them to update their school communities on the grading expectations for this school year. So as you know, we issued a revised grading policy for remote learning that was designed to meet the academic and social and emotional needs of our students and our families and educators as we adapted to remote learning. So this new grading policy preserves many of the flexibilities and safeguards that we implemented in the spring, but it also allows schools to use the grading scale that best meets their needs during blended and remote learning. So again, it gives more options to schools, but it still preserves the, I would say, the important realization that everybody's going through a traumatic time here. So if the goal is for students to master the material, this gives them time to master the material rather than just say, you didn't get it by a certain date, so now you fail. Let me be really clear. I've heard in some corners folks have said there is a no failure policy. That's not true. Students are still going to have to be able to finish and demonstrate mastery of the material, or else they don't get credit. So again, all schools have it. Principals should be updating their communities as well. I also know that there's probably been a lot of chatter about the blended opt-in period. So I want to be really clear that that period for families to let us know if they want to opt back into in-person learning is November 2nd through the 15th. And again, we are choosing from a portfolio of very bad choices, I would say. When we surveyed our families in April about remote or blended, it was default that if a family said they wanted all remote, the default was then the others that didn't choose remote are going to come into a blended learning environment. As we've worked with our schools, I will tell you that a number of families that did not choose remote have in fact chosen de facto to stay in remote learning. So what has ended up happening is that principals are in a very difficult position because they have teachers assigned for in-person learning. And in some of those cases, they have 3 children in their classes. So principals have to choose whether, okay, do I start consolidating my classes so I have up to 9 students in the class and then I reassign the teacher, but I can't do that because parents haven't told us they want remote, but yet they're not coming. And then in addition to that, there are many schools where children are coming in person for 2 days a week because of the small, lower numbers of students that are coming in person. They could actually reprogram and have all of their in-person children attending 5 days a week. But they can't do that because they still don't know if families really do want remote or they do want blended. So we've said this is going to be the time where families have to tell us and actually follow through. If you're going to be in blended and you're going to come in some portion of the time, then you need to be able to let us know, because it is a horrific scheduling nightmare for principals and schools, not the least of which we're hiring thousands of substitute teachers where, you know, if families aren't in fact going to come back into blended learning, then those are hires that we're spending money on that we maybe don't need to spend money on. So again, there are just a lot of operational issues that make it very difficult if families don't in fact tell us what they're going to do and then do what they say they're going to do. I could not be more sympathetic to families. It is a horrible time, and I get it. But we have to at some point solidify the district. We have to solidify the institution, and we have to know what we're working with. So I'm going to ask everybody's cooperation as we go through this blended opt-in period, November 2nd through the 15th, for families to really examine what they want to do, what they can do, and let us know as well. But I also want to thank all of you for the dedication you've shown to the families that you support, especially during the pandemic. I know that you've been tireless advocates for families and children. We appreciate it. I had a great conversation with the executive committee of CPAC and shared with them that in a perfect world, we would have much more opportunities to have shared decision-making and to have processes where all of us have a voice in making decisions. Things are just happening so quickly and changing so quickly. And there are just a lot of things, moving pieces that make it very difficult. But I also want to acknowledge that you have all worked through the various issues and nuances like managing PAs and PTAs and president's councils through these virtual meetings and waivers. So I also announced that we would be extending the time for voting for new leadership through December 31st, because I recognize that it's a very difficult time to get people together. So we're going to extend that as well. We are also reaching out to principals to have them make appointments for PTAs to be able to come in and gather all of their financial records so that they can submit their financial records. Unfortunately, I can't extend that deadline because that's a city council deadline for financial reports, but we can definitely work with making sure that principals are working with you to get your records as well. I also want to thank you for your partnership with the FACE team in thinking through many issues and providing training opportunities, especially around elections. And I know that you've recommended an extension. And again, like I said, we've approved an extension to the waiver through December 31st. I'm going to ask that all of the officers that are currently in office dig in to their SLTs and really participate in the SLT through the elections. And then we'll do the transition once those elections are done. I also think about the fact that CPAC ultimately represents all the public schools in New York City. So I value your representation of New York City parent voices. So I could go on, but I do want to save some time because I know we have some limited time and then I jump to my next meeting. But I want to thank Jimmy and Marco for their leadership, and I'm going to turn it back over to Marco and Jimmy.
Thank you very much, Chancellor. So just to make it clear, so the waiver that we requested at our last meeting, it's been approved exactly like we asked. PTA's elections have an extension till December 31st if they haven't been able to do it. That doesn't mean PTAs should not run their elections now. They should still run it as soon as possible.
Yes.
Just if they are unable to, they have till December 31st. And the fantastic news is that you're going to reach out to principals to organize something so that the PA leadership can go into the building. And if they haven't been able to do so, to retrieve documents that many PA have not been able to do that to this point. So thank you. There are lots of issues. I know people want to really discuss other issues that you touched earlier. I see 3 hand raises. Go to Cecilia.
We start with the executive board first, Marco.
Okay, I didn't see any hand raised. Sorry, Jimmy. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Jessica, you can go first, because you have to be able to see their hands. So go ahead, Jessica, if you have a question.
Sure, I have a question. For the parents in the yellow zones, could you just reiterate again as to the testing protocols and the weekly testing? Because I know that impacts quite a few of us on the call today.
Yeah, so the yellow zone schools, the governor's order requires weekly testing. So the schools have been reaching out to families and letting them know what that testing looks like. There also are obviously consent forms that have to be signed. The confusion that I've heard is that those consent forms are in addition to the consent forms that DOE had issued around the random monthly testing. So yes, schools in the yellow zone will have 2 consent forms, and I'm very sorry about that. There's just no way to get around it because one of them is a state, one of them is a city. But it'll be weekly testing, and then hopefully everybody follows all of the safety protocols. We can get schools off of that yellow zone designation, and then it would be just a monthly randomized testing.
Thank you.
Lourdes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Chancellor Carranza. My question is in regards to the opt-in changes. Would they be, I know like everything is changing every day by the minute, and and we all getting surprised every time we hear something different, but would there be any consideration, being that parents are being a little outraged about the fact that is only a one small window from November 2nd to November 15th? Would there be any consideration by you and everyone else that is working on on these decisions to maybe think about opening another window later on for those parents who didn't have the chance to do so at this time?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the message for everyone is that there's going to be lots of changes, and change is the only thing that we can count on, because we just don't know what is happening with not only the virus, but then what's happening with the stimulus package, what's happening with the staffing. So absolutely. But at some point, like I said, we have to, as a system, be able to solidify what are we doing? How many students are actually in person? How many students are actually in remote? So that we can plan, we can staff. There's not an unlimited budget. I need to tell you that I'm decimating the DOE's budget, moving resources to making sure we're paying for PPE, because we're not getting additional resources for that. I'm decimating the budget and stopping doing a lot of things, because I also am making sure that we are hiring people so that we have adults teaching children. But it's not an unlimited budget. So at some point, just from a fiscal management perspective and an operational perspective, I need to be able to know what is it that we're working with. So that's why this period is very definitive. Right now, it's one period. So if families need to decide, am I going to come in person or am I going to stay remote? That also has to do with how many devices am I buying? So I'm buying 100,000 additional devices. Do I need to buy 200,000 devices? Because then that means I have to find more money. So all of those things are kind of tied up into, it can't be loose, moving back and forth. Again, that being said, Lourdes, it is also very clear that yes, I am always open to meeting the needs of families and meeting the needs of our students. So once we solidify where we are, then we can do some planning. And then if it's possible and if it makes sense, we can absolutely consider another time period where students can and families can opt back in. And at that time, we'll know at that moment in time what the virus is doing. There may be a vaccine that's coming. All kinds of other facets would be part of the decision-making process.
Cool. Thank you.
Anyone else from the executive board have a question? If not, we'll take Francis from D25.
Cecilia was next, just to be clear.
Okay, Cecilia.
Yeah, she was first.
Okay.
Thank you, Francis.
Thank you. Good morning, Chancellor.
Good morning.
As you said, we do represent our districts, all the families. In the summer, you promised that we're going to have a robust curriculum, and you're going to be able to implement it, because you were going to have more teachers, sufficient teachers for blended, remote, and the remote portion of blended. That didn't happen. We don't have enough teachers. You also promised that the blended students were going to have live instruction on the remote days. That's not happening everywhere. The families that chose to go in person, many of them are going in person to be in front of a screen. You did not say that was going to be the case. That's another promise you broke. You promised that we were going to have quarterly opportunities to opt in person. Our parents in District 26 are extremely upset. Some families do not feel ready. We don't know, as you just stated, what's going to happen with the virus. And you're now saying that we only will have one, but I hear you saying that we may have another window depending on how things go. So my question is, like, why are you saying that there's only one if we don't know what's going to happen? The kids are suffering, families are suffering. Families have to plan too. I understand it is extremely challenging for administrators to plan. And I understand that it's difficult because of devices, because of moving teachers around, but you were the one who promised that was going to be the case. You said that we're going to have quarterly opportunities, and our parents feel that you're breaking a promise. So on behalf of District 26, many parents talk to President Council now and are asking you to please reverse that. Thank you. it is cruel to the kids. That's a comment that everyone's making. It's cruel to these kids to have hope that they were going to have an opportunity to come in with their classmates in January or later, and now you're telling them that it's not going to happen.
Yeah. So Cecilia, listen, I understand. I'm not breaking any promises. I've been very clear from the beginning that circumstances change and that the way this virus spreads and what happens in the community, no one can predict it. So, if anyone thinks that I'm breaking promises, I'm sorry, I'm not breaking promises. I've been so transparent about how things shift and the decisions that we have to make. It's no different now. So children do have an opportunity and families do have an opportunity to tell us if they want in person. And that's November 2nd through the 15th, they can tell us. There are families that have said they're coming to in person and have not showed up. I don't blame families. Families have to do what's best for them. But we also have a school system that we have to plan for. I have the responsibility of making sure that students and families that have chosen in person have teachers. They do have teachers. But then I'm also hiring teachers for folks that have never shown up. So then how is that not only fiscally responsible, but how is that operationally responsible? It's not. I have classrooms that have 3 children in them and have had 3 children in them since they opened for in-person learning. And principals are handcuffed because they can't consolidate classrooms and then repurpose teachers and repurpose paraprofessionals because families have said they're coming, but yet they haven't shown up, but yet they might come. So all we're trying to do is get some modicum of stability so that we can make much better decisions around where do we have people, where do we put people. The other thing that's important is that we have tens of thousands of teachers and paraprofessionals and administrators that have sought and received medical accommodations. That impacts as well how many people we have in front of students. Now, again, I'm not going to quibble. I understand the frustration. I get it. And I'm the chancellor, so I'm going to take it. But the other thing you have to keep in mind is that when you're thinking about what we're doing in New York City, of the 25 largest school systems in America, we are the only school system that has in-person learning and has done it safely for children and students in the country. We're the only ones. Nobody else I can call and say, what are you doing about this? How are you guys addressing this? Because nobody else is doing that. So I think for all of us, this is a big deal here in New York City. And are there some schools where students come and get remote instruction in the school? Yes, there are. And we're working to fix those situations as we bring more people on. But the very fact that the reason why we're asking for this definitive time frame is because we need to be able to address those kinds of issues with our staffing. But I will tell you, even in those situations, we know that students that come to our schools still have the benefit of the guidance counselors. They still have the benefit of the social workers. They still have the benefit of getting lunch and breakfast. They still have the benefit of being in a socialized environment with other students and with teachers. So it's not ideal. And again, I've said from the beginning, this is a whole bunch of bad choices that we have to choose from. But I think that the benefits outweigh those bad choices. And again, I understand the frustration of parents. I get it. I understand. And it's not perfect and it can't be perfect, but we're working very hard to get better every single day in terms of what we're offering for our families and our students.
Thank you. Francis.
Thank you, Chancellor. Good morning. And I know it's not easy to be in your position. It's so unpredictable. And if you could predict the future, just pass along the lotto numbers to us and we would appreciate it. But I have a 2-part question. So being that there's only one window, what would happen to a family if like circumstances change? Maybe they lost their job or maybe they have to move or whatever, and they needed to go back into school. What would happen to that family if they couldn't support the 100% remote learning? And also the people who opt in in November 2nd to the 15th, when will they start school? Thank you.
Yeah, great question, Francis. So we're always going to be sensitive to the changing circumstances of families. And in fact, we've already been very sensitive to families as well. that have said, even before, that said they wanted remote and circumstances changed and they needed in-person learning. We've been able to accommodate them. So that'll continue to be the case. What's really, really important is that families stay very closely connected to their schools and their principals, because the principals are the ones that are kind of making that happen as well. So obviously that's very important. The second part of your question was, say that again.
For the kids, parents going into November 2nd and November 15th, when would they be starting school?
Got it. Yes. So during that time period, by the end of November 15th, then the information in terms of what parents have chosen then gets communicated to the schools. The schools will have to reprogram. And by that, I mean that schools then have to look at how many students now will be in person, how many will be in remote, how many teachers have medical accommodations, so they're only teaching in remote mode, how many teachers will be in person, do they need additional staffing, and then students will start in their in-person learning in December. So the December is the goal for students in-person learning.
So
Now,
I'm sorry, Chancellor, not to cut you off. So are you saying that it's supposed to be December, but it can vary depending on the school?
There's going to be a little bit of variance depending on the size of the school and maybe the grade configuration, like high schools versus middle schools versus elementary schools, but it'll all be in December. And you know, it's just going to depend on how many families choose in person and how big of a change that is for the school, because then we may need to help support schools with additional teachers, and that may mean that we're either moving teachers from one school to another school, or that we're hiring additional substitutes that are going to be in person. There's a whole bunch of things that could happen. But the goal is in December that all students will start in person that choose in person.
Chancellor, I actually know a couple of schools that are able to accommodate changes on the go. The principal send a letter to their family saying, this is the policy, but we are actually able, like, if you want to switch, just let us know. Do you have a sense how many schools might be in that situation?
I think, you know, Marco, I know of those schools as well. I think it's probably somewhere under 150 of them, 150 schools. But sure. I mean, there's some schools that have a student population that even if the entire student population wanted to be full-time in person, they could almost accommodate 100% of their student enrollment. But they still have a percentage of their student enrollment that is remote.
Right,
but for those that are in person, the principal has said, okay, yeah, we can do 5 days a week. Or I know some schools where the principals have said, okay, we can't do everybody 5 days a week, but I can definitely do my students with disabilities 5 days a week, and I can do a certain grade band of 5 days a week. So there's a whole bunch of those variations that are happening across the system already.
Okay, great. Thank you. Leonard.
Person is Cecilia, and after that, Randy.
Celia just went.
No, Celia goes.
Not that Celia.
Oh, another one? Oh.
Not that
Right.
Celia.
A different Celia,
D13
sorry.
did not go.
D13, and then it's Randy, D21, and then it's you, Leonard.
Okay.
Good morning, Chancellor. How are you?
Good morning, Cecilia.
My question is around, I have a case where a remote-only student got an exclusion letter, which really shouldn't be happening, because if they're remote only and they have no intention of sending the child physically back into the building, then they should not really be receiving an exclusion letter, because they're off by one shot, actually one vaccine. And they, you know, they would like to know why they would get an exclusion letter. When they're not going back to the school. I mean, they're going to be remote for the rest of the year, this particular kid anyway.
Yeah, so again, the requirements still require that even if students are full remote, you still have to keep up with your vaccinations if you're enrolled in a school district. So I think it's probably more of a bureaucratic process than knowing, well, this student is fully remote, it's not going to go back into a school building. So if you could give us, you could share with FACE the name of the family, we'll follow up to make sure that they're not being excluded from any educational opportunities. But again, the law is pretty clear. If you're enrolled in a public school, you still have to keep up with all of your vaccinations. We know that COVID's a little different and that there are some students that are in remote. But share that information with us and we'll follow up.
All right, thank you. And
So
just out of curiosity, is there a policy around the fixing and the returning of devices yet? Meaning a DOE policy in writing somewhere that parents can refer to?
Yeah, there's guidance on the website. Yeah, so parents can still contact us through the address on the website. And that's what we have. Apple Care on all of the devices that we've provided to students. So we have a way of getting them fixed. So it's on the website.
All right. Thank you very much, Chancellor.
Thanks, Celia.
Randy?
Good morning, Chancellor.
Hi, Randy.
I just wanted you to clarify something to make sure I understood it clearly, that if you choose to opt back in, there's a possibility that the school could reprogram students for 5 days a week. So this is the first time I've heard that. So I just want to know if that actually is a possibility. Will all schools be able to accommodate all students? Because this could give a huge influx of parents opting back in 4 or 5 days a week, especially if they're having trouble with technology and internet and Wi-Fi. So will all schools be able to do this? And if they can't, then do students just opt back out? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, Randy, I appreciate you asking the question. So let me clarify. So right now, as we speak, the number of students that we planned for in person has not materialized. So in other words, and it may be the way that we surveyed, where we asked families, are you planning to, let us know if you're planning for full remote. And the default assumption was if you didn't choose full remote, that you're coming back to blended learning, right? So some part of your week in person, some part of your week remote. That has not materialized. And because that has not materialized, principals and school communities are in a position where right now they probably could reprogram, consolidate classes, and could have enough room to have their students that are in person have at least 4 days a week, maybe 5 days a week. They could do that right now, but they can't reprogram because we still know that there are families that never said they're going full remote and they could come back at any time. So what I'm saying is that this window from November 2nd through the November 15th, where families have to definitively declare, are you going to be remote or are you going to come back for in-person, will give us the stability and the hard information to know, if I'm a principal, just how many students are actually going to come back now. And once I know that, if it's the same number of students, then I can make some decisions about how I reprogram my campus. If it's more students in person, I probably won't be able to do full in-person 5 days a week, or maybe I can, but at least I'll have a solid number that I'm planning for. And there's not this assumption that, yes, maybe they'll come back or maybe they won't come back. That's what I was talking about.
But so basically, sorry, Chancellor. So basically, at this window, we are not making the assumption that if you don't respond to the survey, you're going to be in person. We are making the assumption that if you don't respond to the survey, you'll be remote, effectively, right? That's how we are able to truly count how many kids are actually going to be in school.
So my understanding is that this new survey is going to definitively ask, are you choosing remote or are you choosing blended? So we're not leaving it up to—
There is no default answer.
Right. If you didn't choose this, then that means that.
Okay. Just
definitively asking.
Great. Thank you. Leonard, go ahead.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Chancellor Carranza. Nice to see you this morning. You probably know my question before I'm even going to ask it. My question relates to, do you have any updates right now as to middle and high school admissions? I would also like to know, again, connected with that, updates on the SHSAT and the gifted and talented tests. And then in connection with that, I just wanted to know, what is your most recent figure whether it's daily or weekly, for the infection rate of New York City school students?
Yes, so I have a meeting, in fact, that I'm jumping to right now regarding all of those topics, except for the infection rate. And the most recent, we're meeting on that. There's going to be some information very soon that's coming out on all of those topics: admissions, SHSAT, gifted and talented, all of those policies. The most recent infection rate that I had regarding New York City's public schools was 0.67, and that was as of yesterday.
Thank you.
Yep.
Doris.
Thank you.
Oh, you need to go?
Yes, sir. I'm jumping to my next meeting. Again, I want to thank everybody for your time, and I know you have a longer agenda as well. So thank you again. Stay safe, everybody.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So I think we're gonna have Adrian move on with the updates from FACE. Keep your hands up, and you possibly some of the questions that you were planning to ask the Chancellor can be asked direct to Adrian, and she's gonna be able to answer them. So don't lower your hands if you feel that you can ask Adrian the question you were planning to ask the Chancellor. Adrian, go ahead, take the floor.
Good morning, Marco. Adrian's going to try to answer the questions.
Yeah, well,
good morning, CPAC. Good morning, everyone, parent leaders and parents. I want to just start by thanking everyone for your hard work on the PA-PTA elections. Over 1,100 PAs, PTAs have held their elections or have elections scheduled. And there are many districts where all the elections have either been held or are scheduled to be held by the end of the month. So that's pretty incredible. And it's in the face of enormous challenges. These virtual elections are not easy to do. And so just want to shout out parent leaders who are making sure that these elections are held. A huge shout out to FLCs, FSCs, and president's councils that have been providing hands-on support and making sure schools are holding the elections. And shout out to FACE, who worked on the waiver guidance and training that is at the foundation of that work. And I know FACE worked on the PA-PTA email accounts and making sure all those are activated and have been working arm in arm with district partners and parent leaders behind the scenes. So shout out to everybody. It's incredible. And it's a sign that something is going right. Something is working well when everyone comes together in that way to be able to accomplish something that's incredibly important, which is making sure that our parent leader bodies are constituted properly and are able to serve in their important roles. And so just to give an idea of sort of what I see as the work ahead of FACE is obviously to continue to focus on making sure that elections are continuing, particularly in those places where PA-PTAs have ceased to function. And unfortunately, that's a case for far too many of our schools. And then also we have a president's council that has ceased to function. And so working with the district to make sure that that district president's council is up and functioning so that our systems don't
which
work.
council is this? Sorry.
This is 19.
19. Okay.
Yep, 19. So that's the work ahead. In addition to making sure that we are focusing on training. So we've got a lot of new parent leaders who are in these PA-PTA officer roles. We have new SLTs. And so we're working with the First Deputy Chancellor's office to roll out a series of trainings on roles and responsibilities, CEP for the SLTs and the like for November. So that is part of the training work ahead, in addition to sort of doing cleanup to make sure that, where we're not holding elections because we're working on the waiver. We're going to work on the waiver and guidance around what that means, but also making sure that where there's technical assistance needed, there's some cases where maybe the PA-PTA president has moved on and, no longer there, understanding the rules of succession so that the vice president or whoever else needs to step in to make sure that we have our SLTs up and running, making sure that work is happening as well. So that's on that front. Just to give you an idea of some of the other work that FACE is working on, in addition to that, we've got parent-teacher conferences coming up. We are going to work on getting guidance out ASAP to families and to teachers on supporting those conversations. We are planning to hold a family and student information session on November 19th, so please save the date, but more information will come out about that. We have, I know the District 75 Council is holding a family forum on Monday And so that information will be in the end of week up wrap up as well. And Parent University will launch this month, sorry. And so we're excited about launching Parent University. We've been talking about it a lot. I think we are scheduled to do a demo. I'm not sure, have we done a demo for CPAC of Parent University?
I don't
No?
think so.
Okay, so
Not that I could have missed it. I don't think
No,
so.
they haven't.
we
They
should,
haven't.
yeah, we should do a demo before launch with CPAC so you guys can see, but it's really incredible the work that our IT has done with FACE to pull together a learning management for systems. And there are already over 100 courses in there for families. This is a collaboration with, obviously it's not FACE creating over 100 courses. It's district FLCs who are creating courses. It's folks in like literacy coaches in the borough offices. It's teachers. It's all sorts of great people across the system who are making really great courses. And all of that information will be available to families through the system, and it'll be integrated with Nixa. So when you log into your Nixa account, you'll be able to see another widget sort of that shows up that you can log into Parent University. So all that is coming, probably a lot more than that, but I'll stop there because I know people probably have questions.
Great, thank you. Doris.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, Adrian. I had questions for the Chancellor, but they aren't like hardcore questions. So I think you should be able to help me. So I've actually held a discussion with at least 3 parents. I am in District 12. They have informed me that they opted their children to in-person learning, and now their children are sitting in classrooms with their teacher remotely. So the child is sitting in a classroom with the teacher on a laptop. Is that something that's supposed to be happening? Because the parents aren't, like, that's not, I guess, what was the understanding when they opted to have their children come in. That's one. And the other one is just simply a question about the survey now. So should we parent leaders be telling all of our parents to fill this out, whether they are remote or not? Just so that the numbers can reflect accordingly. Because I did hear the Chancellor say that they're no longer going to default and state that, okay, if you didn't fill it out, your child is coming in person. I filled out for both my children. I still got things telling me, oh, this is the schedule for their in person. I'm like, they're remote the whole year. So are they now letting us know that everyone should fill this out so that we can start sharing links? Or, I mean, how is that working?
Yes, so there's a parent letter, a family letter that should have gone out through your school that details exactly, like has a link in it and explains how exactly it's going to work. But yes, we are asking everyone to fill out the survey and to indicate their preference, whether it's in person and remote. And I'll just tell you, I think what at least I've learned from the anecdotal information that I have from principals, from families, from people across the system, which is that a lot of parents were kind of like sitting on the fence. And so parents didn't, it was a central survey. And so, so some parents were like, well, you know what, I'm just not going to say, I'm going to stay in, I'm not going to respond essentially, because I don't want to I want to keep open the option of coming in person. But I really intend to be remote only. And that's caused a lot of issues for principals when they're programming. And so it's just now coming and saying, okay, we tried something, this other survey, which was, not really a firm survey in terms of requiring people to complete it and then requiring a decision to be made. But now we're to the place where it's like, all right, let's have a firm decision. Either you elect to be in person or blended, so that principals can have some certainty around how they're programming. And it opens up opportunities for principals who maybe want to be able to program students 5 days a week or whatever it is, but so they have firm numbers. And you had a second question about, what does it look like to be in person? And so, I will tell you that I know there are many schools where, let's say, that you have a second grade and you had 2 teachers. Well, one of the teachers or maybe both of the teachers have requested accommodations. And so they're working from home. But there was capacity at the school to serve students in person. And that's important role for our schools to play, because the kids get to be in class with one another. They get some amount of socialization. They get to interact. They get, they get their specials that come in and out, the PE and music and all of these other things that are just better in person. And so we wanted to make sure that students had the opportunity to continue to do that, in addition there are some parents who work where, it's very helpful to be able to have kids in school. But at the same time, if the teacher has an accommodation and the teacher is working from home, and that is a second grade teacher, that those are the sorts of circumstances where you're seeing that the teacher is providing instruction remotely, despite the fact that the students are coming in person.
All right. Thank you. Shirley.
Hello. Good morning, Miss Austin. I wanted to ask, going back to remote devices, I want to go back to there and on the aspect of with the internet instability in some households and devices are not working. How is the school and the teachers are connecting? Because a lot of families are complaining that their child is being marked absent when it's not, it's because they're having technology issues. How is this being addressed? So some families also feeling that the child is being punished because of lack of participation and involvement, and it's not because they don't want to be involved. It's just that they're having technology issues. How is this being communicated to the school that to be a little bit more patient, and that certain families are having this issue and that they want their child and their child wants to participate?
Thank you for that question. And we certainly appreciate and recognize that there are families that don't have internet access or that children don't have access to a device. And we are, obviously working to make sure that that is remedied. We have ordered 100,000 iPads to be distributed that will be internet enabled. But in the meantime, it's incredibly important that our schools are sensitive to the students that are, that we're taking care of, that we're responsible for. And it's important that families communicate. If you're having a technical issue, if your child is having a hard time logging in, it's important that you bring that to the teacher's attention so that the teacher is aware and can craft other sorts of assignments or figure out a different way to measure learning. That's part of the importance of issuing a grading policy around this, which is an explicit part of the grading policy is to say, attendance cannot be a factor in grading, and it can't be a factor for this particular reason. There are other ways to ensure student learning. There are other ways to provide assignments and to ensure that students have the materials and, sort of rigorous access to curriculum that other than, like coming in onto a Zoom or a Teams for a couple hours a day. There's other ways to do it. And so teachers have to be aware so that they can do that, sort of going back and doing that planning for that student. But we know it's an issue. This is an incredibly challenging time. There are a lot of people that, maybe started the school year with internet, but, for whatever unforeseeable reasons, including loss of employment, it's not possible to continue it. We are providing, I know FACE is sending out resources every week in that end of week wrap up. I will make sure we have another within the end of week wrap up, just link to all of the free internet service providers or the internet service providers that are providing free service now, because they are now. That wasn't the case, I think, in August and September, but there are a number of internet service providers that are offering free service to families. But you're absolutely right, and we have to be flexible, and we have to make sure that our students are learning, and we have to be creative about how we make sure that students have access to instruction, but we certainly should not be penalizing students.
Thank you. Is there a way for a family to retroactively go back and say, my child was marked absent on these days, but actually it was because of technology issues?
Yeah, I think that's something to bring up to the teacher. I will say, look, attendance serves a couple of, in the normal course of things, attendance serves multiple purposes, but the one fundamental purpose that remains is that we have funding that's based on attendance. And so, we do have to take attendance, and we have to report out attendance to the state and to the federal government. It's all tied to funding. So it's incredibly important. And there are some standards that we have to set and meet around how we do that. So I think it may be worthwhile to bring someone from the attendance team into CPAC, and we'd be happy to bring someone in to talk more in depth about attendance and what the attendance team is doing. But I do know it's a challenge on our side as well, because it is an obligation that's tied to funding.
Right. I know parents are also concerned about ACS being called on kids not showing up. So there are both sides of the issue that need to be addressed. Okay, thank you. Rashida.
Thank you, Marco. Hi, good morning, Adrian. Good morning, CPAC. Let me see. Yeah, Shirley hit the nail on the head with the internet access and the free hotspot and free internet access for families who still need it. And just hoping that DOE can continue to push for, I guess they just recently approved something for families in shelters. And then just thinking of other families who need it. We need to continue to push for that. I wanted to mention color-coded documents on our charts and website, asking that we consider folks who are colorblind. It was just brought up to me recently, quiet, and I realized that we have to take that into consideration with certain colors that we use. I'm addressing it with my school in regards to like the chart that they use for the cohorts. And they said they simply copied what DOE provided. And I was like, okay, well, so then I'll mention it at CPAC. Just a note. Wanted to really discuss the discipline code. And I know that's not your department, but wanted to just elevate the issues here in regards to guidance and support around, how our schools can move forward with not punishing our children on this new virtual platform, and just trying to just figure out the best way to not do more harm when we talk about cameras on and where they should be and how they should look when they log on, and always considering our tech issues that we always have, right? So we always grant flexibility to our educators. When their tech is not working, we don't have a choice. Our students just have to just say like, class didn't start yet because teacher is having tech difficulties, and it's nothing that they can do about it but accept it. But when a child is having tech difficulties and logging on late, they're usually faced with, like punitive actions. So I know that's not your department, but I wanted to mention it here, and we'll continue to talk to CPAC, and we'll talk to folks from Office of Wellness and Safety or whatever. But that's it. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Rashida. Thank you for raising those issues. Obviously, I know the Division of School Climate and Wellness under the leadership of Deputy Chancellor LaShawn Robinson have made great strides when it comes to the disciplinary code and making sure that we're not penalizing students disproportionately, trying to reduce disproportionality in disciplinary responses, and then reduce, suspensions and all of these sort of severe responses to what oftentimes is behavior that can be addressed in other ways. And so I will reach out to her also just to find out more about what that looks like. I know that the team is working on, what does discipline look like in this space where, a lot of students are not in person. I know a member of her team has reached out to us to do some like anti-bullying workshops for parents, and also like cyberbullying and cyberspace, addressing cyberspace issues for specifically for families who may be seeing things and want to know how to address behavior. So more is coming on that front, and you can expect to see some workshops, I think in November, around that in partnership with her office.
Thank you. Cecilia. Maybe we lost him one moment. Andrea, why don't you go and then we go back? Oh, okay. You're there. Okay, sorry.
Okay. Okay. I just have a couple questions. One is about devices. I'm getting a report that we have students, in particular, they are special needs students who are not getting their devices as yet because there's a backlog. The thing is, meanwhile, what are they supposed to do? And they're struggling because they're trying to share devices with their family, but they're not getting the devices that they need in order to get into the classes. So is there any update on as to, it's just to wait for the next shipment? How long is that going to take? Do you have an update on that?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking. I will follow up. I don't have a time frame. I do know there's a national device shortage, which is part of the reason why we went to Apple and why it was we had to, work hard to make sure that we could to have a shipment that would be available soon so they can navigate the change in devices. But I don't have a timeline of when the devices are going to be distributed out. So I will try to see if I can secure that by the end of week wrap up and include it in there. That's a great question. I need to touch base with the COO's team to see what the timeline is.
Andrea? Thank you, Cecilia. Andrea?
Yes, hi, good morning, Adrian Austin. It's Miss Daniels from D75. I just have a quick question for you in regards to the COVID-19 random testing. And I just wanted to say that also I appreciate the fact that you and Dr. Varma been doing the office hours, and y'all also did the webinar for more information. I went on the webinar when you first did it, which is why I'm having a big debate with my city education council of difference of opinion. And I was basically penalized for my difference of opinion, me and a couple of other members, due to the fact that now I understand more about the testing. But I just wanted to know, what is the status of the COVID-19 mandated testing for D75 students at this time? Do you have an update?
Yes, thank you for that. We can all we all sometimes have to agree to disagree. I know it's something that I struggle with, everybody at some point struggles with, but I'm seeing that more and more so with the councils and in parent leadership. And sometimes you just have to agree to disagree. We don't all have to have the same opinion on things, and that's okay. And so I will say, I think this week, they will be issuing a policy. At least that's, I feel like every day, every week, it's like, it's coming. And I'm here telling you something is coming. But I have been told that we're going to issue a policy this week. What I can tell you about the policy is it's obviously going to be flexible, because we have to be flexible. We want to be able to serve our students in a way that is healthy and safe and feels comfortable for our students first and foremost, and for our families. And so there's going to be a policy. It's going to look different than the testing policy that's in place for some of the other schools, because it's going to need to be more flexible to address the students that are in District 75. So more to come. As soon as I have the policy, the first folks that I'll send it to is the D75 Council and CCSE and others. I'll probably send it to everyone at the same time, but I'll certainly draw your attention to it, just because I know that parents really want to know, especially parents that are in District 75 really want to know what the policy is going to be.
Thank you, Adrian. I appreciate that, because some people in D75, they don't want the kids to be tested at all, and I do not agree with that. So this is where I'm in a conflict of interest here, of a difference of opinion on my council because of that. I just feel that there's other ways the kids could be tested, and I see that you're trying to accommodate D75, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the office hours to make the parents understand more about the testing. And I appreciate the webinar you did, because like I said, I was on it. And before then, I was even a bit confused about certain things, which is why I changed my opinion on the city council in regards to their resolution. And that became an issue with some people, but my decision stands. Thank you very much. Have a good day, Adrian Austin.
Thank you. And thank you for the positive feedback. We are human beings and people in these positions. I think sometimes folks lose sight of that. And so getting some positive feedback does truly resonate, feel good to me. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Adrian. Have a good day.
Thank you, Andrea. And Lourdes is up.
Yes.
Thank you, Marco, and thank you, Miss Adrian. I have a two-part question regarding the survey for the opt-in changes, right? When would the surveys be, since November 2nd is just around the corner, when is that survey going to be released? That's number one. And number two, what are the standards? And this question is from Jessica Sillo, who had to step to a work phone call. What are the standards for the kids in blended learning when they are in school, as well as when they're working from home?
Yes, good question about the survey. The survey link, actually, you can click on the link and I think it's up. I'm not sure when it's going to be activated for, I assume November 2nd, when the window begins. That's when they'll want people to start entering information.
Well, where is it?
I'll send it to you. Is the chat available? Can I drop
Yeah,
something?
you can drop it. You can put it in the chat.
Okay, I'll put it in the, I'll drop it in the chat. And then the question around students and, you know, what the expectations are, it's really set by the teacher. And so it's going to be teacher by teacher, course by course, whatever the teacher's expectations are for the students in terms of assignments. And, you know, so good question, but that's something that the teacher should be able to answer. And also parent teacher conferences are coming up. That's a perfect time to ask that and to understand that, so you know what to expect.
So Adrian, that the link is public, right? So if we can share it. Okay,
Yes,
just making sure.
Thank you. Yes.
I don't see any other hand raised, but I have actually a quick question. So, but I see you getting distracted by somebody. It's okay. You can get distracted by somebody.
Sorry.
It's fine. Everybody gets distracted sometime.
It's my 8-year-old. She's so.
Yep.
You know.
No problem at all. No problem at all. So the chancellor talked about the grading policy having been provided to principals. Is this actually something that is public, or as of yet, or not yet?
The grading policy is public. It's a public document.
Is there a link that can be shared?
I try to put everything in the end of week wrap up. So
okay, that's fine. As long as you send it tomorrow, that's okay. You don't have to give it now.
I promise I will send it to everybody.
Okay.
The grading policy, the opt out. There's a family letter that went out of opt out, and more information about that. I'll make sure, but the link to opt out I'll put in the chat. But I'll send everything and make sure everything is in that end of week wrap up.
Right. Okay. And just one more thing, because somebody was asking before. Somebody might have missed it. So the letter that we sent to you regarding extending the timeline for PA and PTAs to continue to exist in spite of not having been able to run election is extended to December 31st, right? I mean, I know that's right, but just in case, because somebody was asking, probably people might have missed it earlier on when the chancellor mentioned it.
No question. We're going to have to extend the waiver. There are, like I said, what I have learned, I guess, and what we've all learned in the course of the last 30 days or more is there are PA PTAs that have ceased to exist. There are schools that have gone through closure and opening and closure because they were in a red zone and an orange zone. And so there's a lot. And then there's, other factors. So yes, it's going to be extended. But also, yes, there's going to be a really solid effort and push to continue to do the elections. We don't have functioning schools. We can't say we have a healthy school system if we don't have PA PTAs in place and we don't have a parent member on that SLT. And so, we want
more than one.
Yeah. Right. Title one pack, right? Like we're not in a very strong position as a school system. And we certainly can't say we're about parent empowerment if we're not pushing for that. And so even though it's difficult, even though it's a huge push and it's been a strain on our FLCs and it's been a strain on FACE and it's been a strain on parent leaders, it's a strain because it's hard to do. It's hard to do, but it's important work, because our parents can't serve in the role that they need to serve in our schools if we don't do that work. So yes, we're going to extend, but yes, we're also going to continue to push because we want our school. And I will say, look, District 1, District 2, you look at a lot of them, their elections are done. And what that means when I look at District 19 and the President's Council has ceased to exist, and there are a lot of PA PTAs that have ceased to exist, it means that there are communities where the parent leadership is not receiving the support, it's not being cultivated, it's not participating, parents aren't participating in the way they need to. And these are in communities where parents need to be a part of what's happening. And so, yes, and also I want to at least have an equitable focus on how I look at this, because it can't be like, oh, well, these districts are totally done, they're good, their parents are empowered. And then we look at other districts and we sort of write it off and say, well, we're not going to focus on it. No, we're going to continue to focus on it. We're going to now be able to drill down and provide even more support to those districts and schools.
Great, thank you. Rashida?
Hi, sorry, y'all. I just want to make it clear that to everyone that I am a part of the Bronx Healing Centered Schools Working Group, and we have met with the school climate and wellness. Like we've met with LaShawn and Kenyatta, Josh and Elizabeth, but wanted to elevate it here with you, with CPAC and FACE, since you are involved with parent engagement and parent empowerment, just for us to all be on the same page to understand that we do need a new, code of conduct or whatever for our new virtual space that we're in, that it should be addressed now sooner than later because it's happening and it's doing damage. So I just wanted to mention that. Yeah, sorry. And Lourdes has been raising her. Thank you, Adrian, for everything you do. I'm not gonna let Andrea take my shine. I appreciate you and everything you do. And we know it's not easy for none of y'all. It's not easy for us either, but we appreciate you.
Thank you.
And Marco Lourdes has been raising her hand.
I know, but Celia can come first. Thank you, Rashida. Celia, go ahead.
Actually, before I just want to address what was just mentioned quickly.
Okay, sorry, yeah.
We have been having an equity council. We actually had a really great meeting yesterday, and there are CPAC members on that equity council. There are CEC members on that equity council, and the whole idea of this council is to think through, like, how do we create a more sane environment? How do we create an environment that eliminates discrimination and does not subject parents to discrimination and sexual harassment? That's the whole foundation of the reason for having this council. And we had a really great conversation yesterday. And I think we're going to make some really good progress. So more to come. I'm sure you guys, I hope you guys are hearing from some of your members who are in that space, but more to come on that, because we need to fill the void with some rules and set some standards about just norms around decency. Because I'm hearing a lot of parents say they've been subjected to things that just nobody should be subjected to.
Thank you about that. Celia.
Thank you, Marco. Good morning, Deputy Chancellor Austin. I just wanted to ask about PTA fundraising in the virtual environment. Are we gonna have an opportunity, or is there a suggestion to update A660 in light of the fact that, I mean, it's coronavirus now, it could be anything down the line. But I do think that the one thing that Corona did do is force us more or less to get virtual and to get more comfortable in that space. Is there anything that's going to be adjusted in H660 to help PAs and PTAs to function financially during this virtual environment, or any virtual environment that may come up in the future?
Thank you for that question, Celia. I know we had a waiver to address some aspects of the financial, the capacity of PTAs to function and do their financial transactions and things like that. I don't know that it went as far as addressing fundraising, which is what you're raising here. But I do think we've talked about it in FACE, the need to provide some real guidance about fundraising. And so that's something that it would be good for us to develop. So thank you for raising that. We should certainly put something together.
Okay, so I'm going to suggest maybe when you're interested in putting it together, because CPAC is President's Council presidents and PTA presidents, because you have to be that in order to be a President's Council president. Great. I'm hoping that you'll include us because these are the people with boots on the ground that have to deal with it on a regular basis. So here's that hope.
Yes. You know, if you can say nothing else, you can say, I have not, been the person to move forward or encourage FACE to move forward in a way that was not in lockstep with parent leaders. And so for the most part, parent leaders have been a part of most, or if not all, of the policy moves that we've made. And absolutely, we would want to do that in this case as well.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Celia. I have some people that is raising their hands by sending me messages because their end function is not working. Sorry about that. So I have Lourdes, Cherie, and then Janine.
Yes. Hi. Thank you again, Marco, and thank you, Ms. Austin. The question is in regards to the SLT, and it's about A655 being amended to be in line with the ESSA law recommendations of Title I chair to be a mandatory member of the SLT. That has not been done. And schools are not aware that the SLT, in order to have true collaboration of Title I in SLT, they should have that mandatory member in there. And the A655 will have to show that in place in order for them to start following it. Some of us PAs and PTAs and SLTs have amended our PAs and PTAs as well as SLT bylaws to show the recommendation of the ESA law for Title I chairperson to be a mandatory member. Makes sense. And I'm going to say makes sense because the same way that we have equal amount of staff, equal amount of parents, you know, right now the mandatories is not equal. The mandatory is just the president as the parent representation and the UFT and the staff. So it should be equal, right? It should be 2 staff, 2 parents mandatory.
Yep, I totally agree with you. I know the first deputy chancellor's office was actually working on this. You know, we are a strange organization in terms of how we're organized in our family leadership sort of obligations and responsibilities. And so Title I PACs really fall within the first deputy chancellor's office, but we are working very closely with them. I think we have done a better job than in many years to breaking down that sort of silo. And I know they're working on the chancellor's regulation. I do want to say, and I just want to be honest, because, you know, I guess that's what I do. It's not an overnight fix. And so the process of amending a chancellor's regulation and then even going through the process of posting it and then, you know, having the PEP then vote on it, that itself takes over a month. It takes like, you know, 45 days, just once you know what you're doing and you've got the language. And so it's not going to be an immediate fix. And I just wanted to be clear about that, but I do know that they're working on it.
And we, a lot of us here understand the process because a lot of us here have worked on the A6 in the A660 you know, changes as well. So we know the process. Is just that, you know, the law has been the law has been on for quite some time, and the recommendations has been for quite some time as well. And I just want to know, when was it being worked on so that it could be implemented and schools can be actually in compliance?
Yep, that makes sense. And I would say Sharon Renshaw, I know, is working on not only that, but she's also thinking through and working on the plan for training for Title I PACs. I think there's a trainer, like a turnkey training that her team has put together, as well as SLT training. So she'd be a good person to maybe hear from just on, I know she's managing a lot of work and it's moving forward. And I will try next time to maybe get some notes from her about, you know, what the status of all of her work is, but she'd be a great person also just to hear from directly, because I know she's doing a lot of good things.
Well, Sharon did speak, Adrian, at a meeting, letting us know that they already in the works with the A655 to bring in that, and it's supposed to already be in with the lawyers.
That sounds right.
She said they've been working on it already.
Thank you, Jimmy. That's my understanding as well. I know she's pretty far down the field with the work. So, so yes, thank you.
Thank you. Cherie?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, very well.
Okay. I'm on the train, so you may hear train things in the background. So, good morning, Adrian. I don't know if it's a question, but a more highlight that the communication is still an issue. And this week alone, as parent leaders, we're advocating, and we had no information to share around grading policy or opt-in that we didn't either get from a principal or social media. And that's unacceptable. Like, it needs to come to us so we can discuss it with our parent communities, as well as get the information to share with them, right? Letters with them. The letter did come out on the blended opt-in, but there's still nothing. I got grading policy from a principal, not from FACE, and then went on to the website and continued looking for that information. That's how I got the opt-in information as well. And then it came out on social media. So I just want to highlight that the communication is making this situation more stressful and tenuous between parents, parent leaders, schools, district superintendent. And so I think if we could fix that, that would go a long way to rebuilding trust between parents and DOE as a whole.
Yeah, I guess just want to address, I think, what the plan was for how information is supposed to be shared with families. With respect to the grading policy, a letter went to principals to then share out with families. One of the challenges in operating in a virtual space, and then also a challenge in sort of navigating bureaucracy, is you never want for for information to get out to the public in advance of it getting out to the folks who are required to implement it. So the folks who get the information for the most part in the first round of announcements is going to be the superintendents and the principals, because we want our principals to be able to answer questions. We want our principals to have the ability to think about how they're going to implement something. We want our principals to be able to share, especially like something like grading policy, to be able to share that information with teachers so that teachers can say, okay, here's what I was thinking, and I may need to make some shifts and changes based on this new grading policy that's implemented. And so, sometimes I think things maybe feel a certain way to parents, because I know we all want everything first and we want to be in the first round, but sometimes things, and particularly around the grading policy, just have to hit our schools first, and our principals have to feel comfortable with it and conversant in it first, so that when parents do get the grading policy, the principals can explain it, and then when there are questions, the principals can answer those questions. So I hear you, Cherie. I think we try to do our best in terms of getting information out to parents quickly, and really parent leaders, because FACE really turnkeys information with parent leaders. But we also want to be respectful of wanting to make sure our principals feel like we are supporting them, and that they are not the last to know things that they are required to implement and figure out.
Thank you. Janine.
Good morning, Ms. Austin. How are you?
Good.
Good. I'm from District 20 President's Council. I just need some clarification. We're wanting to know, since we extended the waiver for elections till December 31st, am I correct? So should I still be holding President's Council meetings, or should we just try to keep working with, the majority of my schools have had elections, and I know that, but we're just trying to find out who's the PTA presidents. I have some schools who we have no PTA at all. I'm trying to work, but there's like an underlying that they, if I'm still in charge for now, how does this work? Or do I have to have an election and then move forward?
Yeah, I'm looking at your district in terms of the numbers that I have. It looks like you have maybe 6 PAPTAs who don't have elections scheduled, and then you have 14 that are scheduled to happen, but they haven't happened yet. So
I'm glad you have those numbers, because I've asked my FLC and to give me those numbers, and they have not done so.
Okay, I'll share those with you. This is not a secret. We want everybody to have access to information, across universally, so that everyone can support one another.
Yes.
It's not a competition. This is not a race of who can outdo somebody else.
I just want to know for myself, if there are those out there that need help, I want to help. I want to make sure that we're reaching out. That's why I needed, that's why.
Yeah, I'm happy to share that. And then I think, to your point, I think everything stays the same. If you don't have quorum, you don't have enough new PTAs, presidents that have been elected to be able to realistically and reasonably hold an election, then
right.
So that's, that's where I stand on that. And we're going to work to get some guidance out, in addition to getting the waiver completely done, because we've talked about the waiver, but the waiver actually hasn't been signed yet. So we still need to get the waiver signed, but it's in the works, and guidance is going to have to flow from that, because I know there are a lot of questions. And what we don't want to do is to disincentivize elections. We want people to continue. It's a lot of work, but we want people to continue to do that work, because otherwise it'll leave, presidents like you in a situation where you're like, what am I supposed to do now? Do I hold an election? Do I not hold an election?
Exactly.
We don't want that either. So.
All right. Thank you so much, Audrey. That's great. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks.
Thank you. Cecilia.
Yes, hi. Before I forgot to ask about the SLT training, now that we're virtual and we a lot of SLTs, they really need those trainings. So if FACE could give it, and Marco, Randy and Jesse and I, like he said, we did a workshop, a presentation last night at the Brooklyn Borough President's office last night, and we discussed, and it would be great if it's coordinated between FACE and CPAC, and so get some feedback from outside to know what exactly we need, parents need. The other thing is, I have been saying it for the longest, and I attend training, and when I mention that, trainers will agree with me, but it's not being implemented, and I think it's very easily implemented if it's being put in the 655, is that all parents who sit on the SLT should have access to the Galaxy budget, the CPE, the CEP, and the A655, and the SLT bylaws. I think those 4 items should be on every single SLT meeting's desk, and they actually should be sent to all the SLT members. That should be a requirement. There are lots of SLTs that I spoke with, and they never even seen the budget, and some of them are not talking about the CEPs. So I think that should be mandated. Apparently, I do not know if the principals and staff, UFT chairs are trained on that department, because it depends on which SLT I sit on. Some of them seems to be more knowledgeable, and some others not really. And I don't think it's their fault. They just don't know.
Yeah, thank you for raising that. You're absolutely right. I think there are SLT members, and it could be any one of the 3 members that may not know what exact role the SLT is supposed to be playing, and then what access, what documents they should be able to see, and what documents need to be seen in order to fulfill that role and responsibility. So that is the whole idea. We're working closely with Sharon's team to create a mandatory training, SLT training, for all of the mandatory members, at least, to roll out in November, so that our SLTs are not just sort of constituted in, that they maybe you have the 3 members, but no one really knows what they're doing or knows the function or the role of the SLT. No, we want to make sure that the SLTs know what they're supposed to do and can play the serious role that they're supposed to play in school governance. So I'm with you. I think you're absolutely right.
Thank you. I have a follow-up with that, Adrian. So what should a parent that requested maybe to the principal to see the budget, or to see the SLT bylaws, or to see any of these documents, or to see the CEP, and is giving it a runaround, right? It's not giving like, oh no, I'm not going to give it to you, but is also not given the document. What should a parent go to the FLC to request it? What should a parent do?
Yeah, I think a FLC is a definitely an escalation pathway. So maybe reach out if you're not getting a great response, or you feel like you're not getting information. The FLC, you can certainly include me. I would like to know where. I'm sorry. I care about this very deeply. I want to make sure.
Nothing that happened to me. Just making clear. That's just making it clear. It's not.
Yeah, that could just be a misunderstanding. Principals get a lot of requests for information, and rightfully, folks feel protective sometimes of information, or they feel vulnerable with information. But we're government, and we are subject to FOIL, and we're subject to government transparency rules, and we ought to be sharing stuff. So if you're struggling and you feel like you're requesting a document that you're entitled to see, then please bring in your FLC and superintendent. And if you feel like you have questions and you want to know more, you can certainly include me. I mean, for many years I served as a records access officer, so I have a sense of what folks are entitled to receive, and I'm very supportive of making sure that we're providing access to information.
Right. Good. I see no other hands raised. So
I do. One thing is, Adrian, when the parents as well as the teachers sit on the SLT, the principal should give them access to the iPlan portal. They may not be able to have access to make changes, but they should be able to have comments. And a lot of time, principals do not want to give the members on the SLT that right, and they should, because that's something that's truly coming up with the new CEP and what's being played in the roles and what has to be done. How could that make sure that the principals give them the necessary access?
Yeah, Jimmy, great question. I think my approach and I think the strategy of both the First Deputy Chancellor's office and myself is just training, and letting people know like this is how it's supposed to go, and making sure everyone has a common understanding of what the expectations are, what the roles and responsibilities are, who has access to what, and how that information is supposed to be part of the decision-making process that SLTs engage in. So some of it is just, I think a lot of this is training and putting stuff in writing so that people can refer back to it and say, no, this is how access is supposed to work. And then providing follow-up support where there are questions.
I think that should be another item, and I agree with Cecilia Leon, that should be another item on the 8655.
Cool. And Jessica raised her hand.
Hi, Adrian. Thank you. I have a completely different question today besides the consent form. My question is actually that in regards to the bylaws and the template that's available online for the SLTs, is that writable? Because I'm not quite sure that it is. And if it's not, could it be made writable so that we're able to just type in answers without having to do it ourselves?
That's a good point. I know there are members of FACE that are working on a toolkit, an SLT toolkit, and I will put that on their radar as something that maybe should be included in there, is to make a writable version. And by the way, thank you for the question that you asked the other day. And I hope you didn't take that the wrong way. I just was happy that you asked that question because I had the answer to the question, which sometimes I get questions and I don't know everything, so I don't have all the answers. So thank you.
No, I thought that was great. It took me off guard that you recognized my voices also because they didn't give my last name. So I talked to the operator first, and then they had me ask my question. So no offense taken. Thank you very much. Again, if you're going to put forms online, anything writable would be great for parents or SLT members, that kind of stuff, especially in this new digital age. It's a little hard to print.
Yeah, exactly. Nope, I'm with you. Makes perfect sense. Thank you.
Thank you. So I see no more hands raised, and it's actually almost noon. I will let you go, Adrian.
Okay, all right.
Thank you for staying this long, because you certainly overstayed much longer than you were originally scheduled, and appreciate that. We had a lot of questions.
Yep, thank you. It's a pleasure. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you. And Sherry, we lost your, at the beginning when we were going around the districts, we could not really hear you very much, and then we completely lost you. If you want to take it back and go back and report on your district, this is the time. Otherwise, she might be again traveling and not hearing us properly. Okay, looks like Sherry is not.
And Cherie's asking, it's you, Cherie, not
Shirley. Cherie, not Shirley. Yeah, Cherie,
Yeah.
I'm talking about you. District 29.
Oh, okay.
Just what happened, Cherie, is that when you were talking earlier, we could not hear you very much, and then we completely lost you. So if you want to just take it again. Yeah.
Got you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, very well.
Now? So District 29 is pretty much mimicking the same things that others said about opt-in and the grading policy. That's pretty much we as a district found out last week from our superintendent, a very alarming high number of our students still don't have devices. So we are very much surprised by that and hoping to get that remedied with the DOE Central. And then for our PAs and PTA elections, we have been moving along pretty well. That a lot of our schools have had their elections or are having them this week. And those who don't are at least scheduled for within the next 2 weeks. So hopefully by mid-November, 29 will be at 100%. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And with this, I think we are closing our meeting here, unless there is anything I'm forgetting that we should have been addressing.
Yeah, check YouTube. Check YouTube.
Yeah.
I have been monitoring the chat, and along the way, most of these questions have been answered. So there's no other specific that have not been addressed as of now, as the members were asking questions. So it was being monitored. And
Okay.
the link had been added as well. They were asking for the link that
Oh, cool.
Adrian had for
That's great. That's great. Thank you for doing that. I think it's for once in a lifetime, or at least at once since the pandemic started, we're actually going to close a couple of minutes early instead of a couple of hours late. So I guess we are leaving the meeting like this. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you.
Motion to adjourn?
Marco, I have to ask you a question.
Personal question or a public question?
Well, it could be public. It was just about I sent you an email. I sent you, Randy, and Jesse an email asking if I could use that presentation yesterday.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Okay. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.